You might be holding a simple brown penny in your hand right now. But what if I told you that a 1966 penny could actually be worth as much as $10,000? That's right, this tiny coin that most people overlook and toss into jars or leave rolling under the couch can actually fetch a life-changing amount of money in the right condition. And to understand why, we need to take a closer look at what makes the 1966 penny so special and why collectors are willing to pay a fortune for the right one. Back in 1966, the United States Mint was going through an unusual period. Just a year earlier, in 1965, the U.S. Mint stopped placing mint marks on coins in an effort to discourage coin hoarding, which was becoming a serious issue at the time. This means that every 1966 penny, whether it came from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, has no mint mark at all. And for casual observers, that might seem like no big deal, but for coin collectors, this makes the year stand out in history. The penny in 1966 was made from 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams, and featuring the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. However, here's where it gets interesting. While millions were made, there are rare varieties and high-grade examples that command huge prices. For instance, if you happen to have a 1966 Lincoln penny in pristine condition, graded MS 67 or higher by a professional grading service, you're looking at thousands of dollars. And the rarest examples, especially those with strong luster, clean surfaces, and almost no contact marks, have sold for over $10,000 at auction. But it's not just condition that matters. There are also error coins from this year that can send the value skyrocketing. Some 1966 pennies were struck off-center or have double die errors where the design appears slightly doubled, and these mistakes are extremely appealing to collectors because they are unique and rare. When you combine an error coin with a high mint state grade, you're in the range where serious collectors start opening their wallets wide. Now, let's talk about the current market value. While an average circulated 1966 penny is worth only its copper melt value, which is just a couple of cents, an uncirculated coin can start at a few dollars and move up fast into the hundreds, depending on quality at the top end. With those rare grades and errors, you're hitting four and even five figures. And with the current strong demand for rare U.S. coins, those prices are not showing any signs of falling. Anytime a coin like this comes up for auction, it gets a lot of attention because people know there just aren't many perfect examples left after almost 60 years in circulation. This is why you should always check your change or that jar of old pennies you've been ignoring for years, because that little copper coin from 1966 could be your ticket to thousands of dollars and the thrill of owning a piece of American history. Imagine checking your spare change and finding a single penny that could put $33,000 in your pocket. Sounds unbelievable, but the 1970 penny is one of those coins that can turn a handful of loose change into a life-changing discovery. Most people see a copper-colored coin and think it's worth just 1 cent, but certain 1970 pennies are worth tens of thousands because of their rarity, condition, and unique errors. The D stands for Denver Mint, where these coins were struck, and while millions rolled out of the presses in 1970, only a tiny fraction are valuable enough to command those huge prices. The most sought-after examples are in pristine mint state condition, with perfect luster, sharp details, and no scratches or contact marks. And when these coins are professionally graded MS 67 or higher, they can bring jaw-dropping amounts at auction. The top-known sales for a flawless example have reached $33,000, and that's not even counting the rare error varieties. One of the most famous is the 1970 double die obverse penny, where parts of the date and lettering appear doubled under magnification, making them extremely desirable to collectors. Another rare find is an off-center strike, where the design is misaligned, giving the coin a strikingly unusual appearance. These errors happen when the minting process goes slightly wrong, and because they are not intentional, they are far rarer than regular strikes. Back in 1970, the penny was still made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams, and featuring Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. The design was familiar, but the year and mint mark combination, with certain errors or perfect preservation, made some examples stand out like shining stars in the numismatic world. Today, the market for these coins remains strong, with collectors actively hunting for the highest grades and rarest mistakes. A normal circulated 1970 penny might still only be worth face value or a few cents in copper, but one in exceptional condition can easily climb into the hundreds or thousands. And if you happen to have one of the ultra-rare high-grade or error coins, you're suddenly talking five figures. So before you toss that penny into a tip jar or let it disappear into the couch cushions, take a closer look, because that little copper coin stamped with a D in the year 1970 could be the key to unlocking $33,000 and the satisfaction of discovering a rare piece of American minting history that most people overlook every single day. You might think a penny from 1971 with a small d under the date is just worth 1 cent, but the truth is some 1971 D Lincoln pennies can be worth thousands of dollars, and the highest known sales for perfect examples have crossed the four-figure mark with rare errors, pushing the value even higher. Imagine finding one in your change and realizing it could cover a month's rent or a vacation. The D stands for Denver Mint, where these coins were struck, and while the U.S. Mint made over 2.9 billion of them in 1971, meaning they are common in general circulation. The real money comes from finding one in exceptional mint state condition or with rare minting errors. At the time, the penny was still made from 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams, with the familiar Abraham Lincoln profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Millions of these were tossed into pockets, purses, and piggy banks, but the highest graded coins, those preserved perfectly since the day they were struck, have sold for well over $1,000 at auction. The most valuable 1971 D pennies are graded MS67 or higher by professional grading services with full luster and no visible marks. Error varieties also bring serious money. For example, off-center strikes can be worth hundreds depending on the degree of misalignment, and double die obverse errors, where parts of the date or lettering appear doubled under magnification, are highly collectible. Another variety to watch for is the striking through grease error, where parts of the design appear faint or missing, which can make the coin unique and desirable in today's market. Even though most 1971 D pennies in circulated condition are worth only their copper melt value, about 2 cents, a top-quality uncirculated example can start around $20 to $50 and climb sharply into the hundreds or more, with rare errors or ultra-high grades pushing into the thousands. This is why serious coin hunters always check their change in old penny jars, because while the majority are ordinary, a few hidden gems are waiting to be discovered. A small coin stamped with a D in the year 1971 might look like every other cent you've handled in your life, but if it's in flawless condition or has one of those rare minting mistakes, it could be your ticket to a big payday and a place in the fascinating world of rare coin collecting, where history, value, and discovery come together in a way that never stops exciting treasure hunters around the world.